into the device itself and make that part of the solution, it enables a whole new set of opportunities. For instance, if we're able to do voice and data and video on these thin client devices, let's talk about taking the model further and introducing unified communications capabilities, right? Unified communications means taking the phone and now building it into the structure. So now we're building the technology that would enable you to essentially take that phone off your desk and use your thin client device as your phone. And the exciting opportunity here is that desktop virtualization simply becomes desk virtualization. And now we've moved everything off your desk into one device. We've taken the computer away, we've taken the phone away, and we've replaced it with a simpler, easier to use device that lets you do everything. Now, I'm not trying to create a new market in desk virtualization, but I'm trying to make a point. The idea is really to do more with less and to do it in the same vibrant way as you're used to, but also to give you a lot more flexibility and mobility. And that's really what we're up to here. Now, there's a series of benefits that come with this total approach. Most companies want to look at this in two different ways. There's the cost benefits and the business benefits. Now, those of you that are familiar with IT know that often when you get something in the IT space that has cost benefits, it usually means you're losing something in the equation. And items that have business benefits usually have a much higher cost. But fortunately, virtualization, when done properly, is an IT change that not only will save you money in the future, but deliver a series of business benefits that you might not have in an existing client-server model. So on the left-hand side of the screen, we're looking at a chart. The chart was originally done by IDC Research in the largest empirical study ever done on companies who had moved from a PC model to a virtualization or cloud-based model. And what they found there was that moving from one model to the other is like doing a PC refresh, but instead of refreshing all your PCs, you're putting in some more infrastructure in your data center, and then you're buying less expensive devices to replace your PCs. We'll call those thin clients for now. And the benefits of that approach are pretty instantaneous. What you see is that the daily costs of running IT drop pretty dramatically. And I've selected 4 key metrics here to share with you from this report. And the report is available from IDC or Wyse's website, so you can read the details of it. But what they found was about a 40% reduction in hardware and software costs. Part of that is because thin client devices generally cost somewhere between $200 and $400, and that's often less expensive than the PCs they replace. And also, many types of software that you used to need to buy to work with a PC, management software, security software, antivirus software, anti-malware software, the sort of the deal. You don't need to buy that anymore, because if you make the right choice for your thin client device, you won't need any of that kind of software because those devices are naturally secure from those threats. There was a 29% reduction in IT operations costs. And the big learning here was that the IT department, who was quite frankly frightened of the idea of moving to a new model, found that the work they were doing with the current PC model was just not sustainable. They were spending all their time doing break fix, updating RAM, fixing hard drives, replacing BIOS chips, dealing with customer issues or user issues by having to go out and stand next to the user and help them through it. What they found was, in fact, moving to this virtualization environment with this new simpler endpoint, you simply don't have to go out and touch the devices any longer. Like Ron Popeil's Showtime oven, it's set it and forget it. If you've got your server installed correctly and you've made a good choice for your endpoint device, you install it once and you visit it never. And in fact, most customers, most Wyse customers in fact, will install their thin client and then leave it alone for up to 8 years before they consider replacing it. And right there is a big benefit in and of itself. They also found an 88% reduction in worker downtime. And this is because these thin client devices don't crash, they don't blue screen, they don't need to have things replaced on them periodically, so that people get to focus on the work they need to do instead of turning around to their office mate and saying, did you see what my PC just did? So you get to really deal with an environment where people become more productive, and especially when you're talking about in the financial industries and healthcare, where time is either money or people's lives, that increase in productivity is well needed. And then the last point I want to share with you is there was a 78% increase in IT staff productivity. And that's because when we eliminate all those break-fix activities that the IT staff used to have to do with PCs, and we focus them on now the server, which is where all the care needs to be in this environment, now IT departments spend time on business alignment and rolling out new applications and optimizing systems and making data available for users anytime and anywhere. And they stop being tactical people, and they become very strategic people. So this is actually a huge boon to the IT department, as well as a huge boon to the business in general. Now, just below those boxes, you see a URL that starts out roianalyst.alinian.com/wise. And if you jot that particular URL down, you'll be able to go to that site for free. Just simply register so it knows where to store your data, and it will let you put in the specifics about your company, the number of people that you employ, the type of industry you're in, the number of devices that you have, and maybe how long you might want to replace them. And it will print out a set of charts and graphs that would help you understand just the kind of money you might save and might spend if you wanted to go to this model. So it's a very, very easy way to get a very objective view of this, because this tool was not built by Wyse. It was, in fact, built by IDC with the help of Alinian, and it was based on real customer input. So it's a really good reference and resource to understanding the costs associated with this model. Now, there's a series of business benefits. When you go back and think of the architecture I just described in my animation, the data is all living on the server, and the only thing that goes to the user's endpoint are simply screen displays. So that if I was to look at the database of customers for my company, unlike a PC, I don't have to send that entire list to the PC hard drive and then display it. I'm going to simply display the pages one by one that I want to see, and the server, will send that to the user as needed. And that means that no data ever actually goes down to that thin client device and is stored on that thin client device. And that makes security dramatically easier and privacy substantially better. In banking, where you have to deal with Basel II compliance, and in healthcare, where you have HIPAA compliance, a couple of the rules say you must not store sensitive data in a place where it can't be properly secured. So this type of model ensures and enforces that security model. From a manageability standpoint, typically when you have a lot of PCs, the way you manage them is you add layers of complexity in the form of additional applications to try to manage and update these devices when changes are inevitably required in the applications or in the operating systems themselves. But thin client devices were designed from day one, and since Wyse is the inventor of this technology, we know exactly how this was put together. They were designed from day one to be managed centrally, either using a simple console that exists somewhere on the network, or in newer and more popular models, in fact, they don't require management at all because they're just so simple. And so this reduces dramatically the costs associated with the management of the endpoint devices. From a reliability standpoint, these devices are much, much simpler than the PCs they replace, so they're dramatically more reliable. And in fact, there's a number that we use, or kind of a model we use to compare reliability, and that's called MTBF, mean time between failure. And so a PC has about a 30 to 40,000 hour MTBF, which is considered quite good. But a thin client device that you'd use to replace that PC in this virtualization model has an 80,000 to 375,000 hour MTBF. Far, far better, far more reliable, and essentially designed for a 10-year life cycle. From a rapid deployment standpoint, companies that are growing quickly or merging with other companies and need to move users between devices or spaces or simply add them to the workforce, in the PC model, that requires whipping out Norton Ghost and sort of taking that raw PC from your PC provider and imaging it and getting all the applications loaded, and that can be a 15-hour ordeal, or maybe just 45 minutes if you do it well. But with virtualization, you simply put a new thin client device on a desktop, tell the server that you have a new user, and that user's up and running in often less than 5 minutes. And then power, noise, and cooling is something that's becoming more important here in the world. The ability to use less energy, to generate less noise, and to work with new, modern, more efficient cooling environments are one of the things that these thin clients do very, very well. They use much, much less energy. In fact, 90% less energy than the PCs they replace. And they don't make any noise because they don't have moving fans or CD-ROMs or any of the things that typically make noise. And if you want a thin client to make noise, you typically turn on its speakers or you add some speakers to it, but that's all you're going to hear. And then lastly, this whole concept of using cloud computing or desktop virtualization. When you take that server and you connect it securely to the internet, you now create the ability for your users to be able to access their work information from anywhere and at any time, but still securely. And that means people can work more effectively than ever before. So these are kind of the business and cost benefits that I want to share with you. Now let me tell you a little bit about the customers that have deployed this technology today. What you'll see here is some of the logos of some of the smartest companies in the industry across